This
Okay.
meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Super amazing. So, all the listeners, welcome to another episode of Growth Journey. And today we have none other than but one of the amazing person and founders, which I had personally met, the person who's leading the Tagmate right now. We have Bismayy with us. So, Bismayy, first of all, welcome to Growth Journeys. How are you doing?
Hey, hi Tushar. Thank you for this opportunity. I am doing really great. This has been a wonderful experience once we had started on PitchGround a couple of days back. And we have been already starting to see a lot of traction coming in terms of users, in terms of obviously dollars. Uh, but yeah, we are right on track there.
Sounds super amazing. So, Bismayy, growth journey is more on the side of the journey of the person and the product. So, I would like to start with that. So, I would like to know from your side, like, who is Bismayy on the first place? What have been your background? What have been your childhood? Like, what education did you did? What did you did in your early days of your career and professional life? Like, I would like to know that first.
Interesting. I think I'll keep my story short. But yes, I've been born and brought up from Odisha, which is a coastal state in India, right? After doing my engineering, I did my management from a premier B school in India, right? And right after that, the first thing that or the first company that I joined in was a startup. It was just a 15-member company, and I was the sole project manager, come sales manager, sales business development manager there, right? So it was a energy startup, and we had to figure out how to save energy for big manufacturing companies and real estate corporates and things like that, right? So that's where the journey started. But obviously, data is the new oil. Everybody was screaming it out loud in headlines everywhere, and I had a thing for analysis, data insights, statistics, and so on and so forth. That propelled me to take up a career or a organization switch into the current organization that I'm in, which is Tatvic Analytics, which is a data and analytics partner and a media partner for Google India, right? In this organization, I have been across doing multiple roles, but the primary role that I'm currently in is leading the products and the innovations, all kinds of solutions in the marketing analytics space, right? From how we can improve the media efficiency of your campaigns that you are running on your paid platforms, or how we can improve the collection mechanism of your digital properties. How do you collect the data and be able to analyze it in a more efficient manner, in an accurate manner, and take better business decisions or marketing decisions on top of that, right? uh, a lot of solutions that we have developed, which are like custom in nature, built on top of Google ecosystems or the other product, say Facebook ecosystems. Example like Predict and content recommendation engine and sentiment analyzer and things like that. This product that we have been working on for about a year now, we have a 15-member team out here, filled with there are engineers, full stack developers, the product managers, and growth marketers. So I kind of lead the team at this point in time, and our main goal is to, since the first versions and the first couple of versions, I would say, has already been live since October, late October, November 2021. Now we are focusing on how do we reach or expose our product to a lot of other customer base, and see how, since the product idea is already validated, we want to basically make a difference in the lives of our customers, who can be a web agency, who can be a marketing agency, who can be a product manager like me at heart, uh, or who can be a, basically a web analyst or a digital analyst, who do not need to know a lot of technicality of coding and coding behind the implementation of trackings on the websites or apps. They can make use of Tagmate and this particular product that we're currently working on. Yeah.
A very
Just, I think I forgot to mention, as a
yeah.
hobby, I am a Manchester City football fan,
Ah,
and
high five.
high five. And I used to play football, but since COVID happened, I think that activity has been disrupted a little bit. So I want to go back to my playing boots and get started on playing. And I love traveling and backpacking. So I've done quite a lot of backpacking back in 2012 to 16 at those times. Yeah, across Europe and a few places in US and yeah, obviously India, because that's my homeland. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not even kidding, but this is an interesting journey. And like, okay, so two to three things which I had observed. First of all, uh, I- in the first startup where you worked, and right now the team which you're leading both have like 15 people, including engineers and designers and all. So, that was a very fun thing which
Yeah.
I had noticed. By the way, how was your experience in working in that startup? Because I had worked in a lot of startups in past, and in every single startup it is like a completely different world in itself. Like you learn
Yeah.
a lot, you experiment a lot, you do almost every single thing. It's not like a specific role and the only task which you have to do. So like how was your experience?
Yeah, I think in the first in any organization, I would say, like they say, the manager is or your the reporting authority, whoever it is, whoever he or she is basically the pivotal individual in your careers, right? So I have been fortunate enough to get that kind of mentorships or coaching while I've been in any of the startups. So ideally, even if it was so challenging for in my first startup, I'm not an electrical engineer, but the job was to look at electrical space instruments and understand how they consume data and how you can save data on top of that, save energy costs or bills on top of that, right? So I had to get into that grind to understand that, right? And basically do a little bit of my electrical engineering bachelor's in a short span of 3 months, right? While in my the other startup, or basically the current organization that I'm working in, when we started, we were just 40 members. I was the 40th employee. Now we have grown quite a bit, right? Uh, and but within this organization, we have been given a little bit of autonomy, I would say, to build our team from scratch. So basically, we are a startup within a big startup, right? You can say. So, right from uh, finding the right set of people in terms of who have the attitude to and the talent to work in a startup and build products and grow and scale it up to the next level. Plus plus taking attention of the cost and the revenue, which is basically the P&L statements, right? So that and third thing is, which is at my heart, like developing or innovating based on certain product ideas that we have. So there would be an idea, and how do we make it feasible, how do we make it bankable, how do we make it scalable in terms of reaching to the next set of customers, or uh, I'm not saying we would reach $1 billion valuation. But yes, why not aspire for it when you are building something for the businesses, right? So that's where my experience has been, that in terms of ups and downs, I think we have seen a lot of failures as we have grown past our first couple of years of developments. But yes, it's as they say, the success is sweet only when there's a suffering behind it, right? Yes,
Yeah, and I think so we can
that
say
would
you
that would
have
be much.
suffered a
Yeah.
lot. We can say you had suffered a lot and now you are just enjoying the sweetness of the success.
I wouldn't say that. I think I generally tell my team that maybe this from 0 to 1, I think we have gone past. Now from 1 to 100 is what we are in currently. So
Hmm.
we need to still uh, put in all our struggles behind it, basically, and get there. While we definitely enjoy the little successes in and around, like hitting our first dollars, getting to our first 100 users, getting to our first 500 users, and those kind of successes we celebrate with pomp, I would say. Yes.
So like now I have like 3 to 4 questions, and I would like want to go through all of them one by one. First of all,
Okay.
okay, so I had worked in startups in past, and I'm not even kidding. I believe I am like very fortunate that the startups in which I worked, it was like a very chill environment where we all used to enjoy, play games, and there were a lot of situations and fun things which we used to do. Like first of all, I want to know
Right.
in the startup where you worked, after your graduation, what like any specific incident which you remember? I'm like, okay, this was such an amazing incident. Or this was such a funny thing. Anything like that? You remember?
Like I think a lot of funny incidents would have gone is going past my mind at this point. But one thing I definitely remember that I did, uh, yeah, I think yes. This was one of the outstation trips that the entire organization, where we invite the families as well. Not obviously the parents, but the spouses and kids and everybody, right? So because we are such a close knit organization in terms of family, so this was one, I think, couple of years back before COVID, right? Where during one of the nights, it was basically a dance night, and I literally don't know how to dance, but I just jumped onto the stage and I started just doing monkey dancing in and there. There were a couple of people who joined me on the stage, and some of them were obviously, we were drinking and we were partying a lot. I did a somersault or a backflip. I tried a backflip. Okay. I hadn't done that for
Oh
quite a long
shit!
time. Yeah. And I don't think I was so fit then also to do it perfectly. So I landed on my back very, very hard. But I couldn't feel anything because we were already drinking and stuff. So the next morning when I woke up, that's when I started feeling the pain, and I said, "Oh, this trip is going sideways now." But yeah, that was one of the funny incidents because everybody in the organization remembers that step that I did as a backflip.
Okay. But Bismayy, like, I'm really curious to know how is your back now? Like, is it still hurting?
uh, no, I think after I came back home, I got good medications around it for 5-7 days. I think I was still tottering around, but yeah, I was fine after that. Yeah.
Super. You know, like, okay, so, I'm not sure why, but I'm imagining this whole situation. And I'm just imagining a person just doing a backflip and like falling on the back. Okay, it is too funny. No worries. Let's just move on. Oh my God. Okay, so like uh, as you talked a lot, I think you mentioned this thing 2 to 3 times that this development is something which is at your heart. Like you love to develop new stuff and all. I'm curious to know how did you got to know, or when did you realize, okay, this is something which you love? Or, I mean, something which happened in college or after it, like, what's the story of that?
Um, I think in my engineering days, I was trying to get myself into robotics, considering I was a computer science engineer. So I'm supposed to know coding like Einstein, right? So, but I was not a very good coder at that point in time. But robotics had taken my interest and I had joined my robotics club, and I was trying to learn how to do VLSI coding and microprocessors and stuff like that. Right. That's where the fascination of building your robot with scrap material, basically, which there was no material like we used to take it from our engineering warehouses. Some just piece of metal, one small wheel from a toy and things like that, and conjoin them and build it into a robot and take it to competitions across IITs and NITs. And we won one of them while I was there on one of these journeys. I think that definitely sparked it. Yeah, that maybe I should continue developing products, if not hardware products, not why not software products, right? Since I have the software engineering or the computer engineering experience, that's how things had moved on. And I did my masters in obviously business. Um, Literally, everybody says that once you do an MBA, you start wearing your coats and ties, and you don't do hands-on development. You're most doing presentations all throughout, running Excel sheets and delivering sales pitches to your customers. I have done that, so I don't disagree with the fact. But honestly, this particular bug of working on developmental products, software, SaaS, or custom solutions, that was always there at the back of my mind. And I kind of approached my management that if we can set up an innovations team and an R&D team, and I start working on those kind of things by building teams from scratch, not just working on small pinpoint point solutions, but building it more of in a large scale product, if not an enterprise product, but something like a mid-tier product, which we can go for SMB businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs, small agencies and things like that, right? So yeah, here I am trying to scrap my, move my way up to there, up to the top. Yeah.
Okay, so you really went to the management, told them, okay, I want to create my own team and I want to develop something. Like,
Yeah, I did so. I remember that day also. I did so. Yeah.
and also you remember that day, like, I want to know more details. And like, what did you eat in the breakfast and you decided, okay, today I'm going to go to the management and I'm going to tell them I want my own team.
Um, so I think it was back in a couple of I don't remember the exact date per se, but yes, uh, there was this sales role that I was already in, and I was doing sales quite a bit. I had achieved my targets, so it was so I had already some numbers to kind of prove that I'm there, right? So using that confidence, I just went on and said. Uh, so I have done sales, and but to do more sales, I think we need more solutions. Just not sell other products, so why don't we build our own solutions and build it into products, and so that it can sell on its own? You may not need people like me to sell. It would sell on marketplaces like PitchGround, right? Or it can sell on our website as a SaaS. So the management understood that there is a particular idea that we know it was more feasible or bankable at that point in time. They said that, okay, so do you think you would need a team? I said, obviously, let me start with a 5-member team. I'll hire everybody, and maybe at the end of 2 years, give me a couple of years. At the end of 2 years, we'll get our first 100 or 500 customers, and that will be our winning point, right? The first winning point in the or winning milestone. Yes, so that's how it went. It was a challenge, that, but worth it, I would say. All the pain and work and the efforts and the sweat that has gone past, not only myself, I think the entire team behind the particular product Tagmate, definitely worth celebrating and worth appreciating. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so I understood the story part, but here's the thing: when you came up with this thought and like you went to the management that okay, I want to create a solution and then I want to sell it. Like,
Yeah.
did you have that clarity from the start that you want to create a SaaS product only, or at that point it was not confirmed?
No, absolutely. Like you said, Tushar, there was no such complete clarity in my mind, to be honest. It just was a solution idea that was already lurking in somebody else's minds as well. Like we have an entire set of delivery team who works on implementations of websites for our clients. The clients may be conglomerates, there might be startups, there are small and medium businesses. Uh, we tend to hear their pain points when they come back during the projects. They would go on sites, or they would be working from here, and they would come back with certain pain points like, yeah, because of this issues, because of this dependencies on the client, we were not able to do it in time, and so on and so forth. And this happens in services businesses, right? So we started building up on that ideas. I gathered a couple of people on the delivery side, and how we can craft it into a more robust solution, which not only our internal teams but anybody outside who doesn't even need a servicing or hire an external agency priced at whatever dollars per hour, right? They could do show they could do it on their own. It's more like a DIY SaaS that we wanted to create. But yeah, honestly, we hadn't thought that the product would be the final, the final output. We started with a small idea. That idea was Google Analytics, or Google was basically building a new version of Google Analytics, and there are a whole lot of customers that had to migrate, or had to basically implement the new version of the Google Analytics from the old version, right? So that was the idea, that how we can ease the process of implementation or migration from the old version to the new version without dependency on specialists. So you don't need a specialist to do that. How can you do it in a UI without worrying about the codes, without worrying about the data layers, variables, tags, and all those stuff, right? That's where the idea came up, and we built a very quick MVP. We put it out to our some of our existing customers, and we told them, why don't you use this and tell us how you feel, what's your feedback on this? And they were like, yo, it's like you are saving a lot of time, we don't want you also, we can do it on our own. Right? And that's how things got started, and slowly and steadily we built more modules, or built more product ideas around it, and started incorporating them as product features, right? We have a very long roadmap, I would say. When I look at my roadmap, I like, okay, I think I need a 15-member team more to get things up and running, right? But yeah, we are going swiftly now in terms of development, and now we have reached to a point that the product is out in the market, and we have got a 500 users. So why not target to the next 1,000 and 1,500 and 5,000 and so on and so forth, right? Yeah, so there is more clarity in it. But if you ask me on day one, no, it was just a solution that we wanted to solve for our internal customers first, or our internal, teams first, right? Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, and like at that point in the start, did you knew that something like SaaS even exists on the first place? Because I'm not even kidding. 3 to 5 years back, I personally also had no idea something like SaaS exists on the, not even in the startups in which I had worked at that point. So like, did you even knew something like SaaS exists, or like, were you into SaaS already at that point?
Um, I shouldn't call it that I knew everything about SaaS by that time, but yes, I generally am a reader of a lot of techno blogs, and I follow a lot of people on Twitter, obviously, in the SaaS space, right? I had understood that this B2B SaaS, so obviously there is B2C SaaS and B2B SaaS, and I had come across certain of the products, like Google Analytics is basically a SaaS also, right? If we consider in that manner. So why not create another Google Analytics? That's the first question that we had in mind, right? When I was using the product, because obviously every product would have certain limitations, and some bugs would be there and things like that. But those bugs or those limitations essentially gives you a space to create more solutions around it, right? Using their product as which is basically Google's robust product, how do you create a small solution which you can fit it into their Google, into their ecosystem, and still be able to solve the customer problems and make money out of it, right? So in that fashion, I would say I had that interim understanding of how SaaS works. But yeah, if you tell me different types of business models of SaaS, no, I think I got into it slowly and steadily as we burnt our hands and focused on which markets are performing better for us, and which type of pricing is working for us. Even today, we are trying to, look at our pricing and see how we can deliver the right value for the cost that the customers are providing to us.
Okay. Can you give me like 3 names of Twitter profiles who I should follow right now for B2B SaaS?
The one guy that I remember right now,
Hmm.
because I was reading his Twitter, is Justin Wells. I think JustinWelsh. Okay, that I would suggest that you should definitely follow. While there are other bigger influencers, obviously, there's Clement Cow is there, and a couple of other people that I follow regularly for SaaS marketing, SaaS product developments, where they have grown their businesses into multi-million dollars, right? So that's the aspiration everybody has, right? Once they start building a product and they have a bankable idea, why not get it to the next level? Yeah.
Hmm. For sure, I would agree on that part. Oh, okay. So, like as you told that you started basically talking to all the people who were facing the problem, and you were like, okay, let's create solution for them. And in this process of
Right.
creating a solution for them, you created a SaaS product, which now they are using, and now they don't need you guys. They're like, okay, we will use your product. We don't need you guys. Okay, and that's interesting, but still, I think so. It took you guys around 1 to 2 years to create like a launchable version, right? If I'm not.
Yeah, so the first variant that we had, it took about 4.5 months, right? And then we have basically built more modules on top of that. So now you can have fresh setup as well. So first we started with migrations. Now we have built in analytics implementations from scratch, right? That you, if obviously developers or agencies are needed at when it is very custom, and when you have a very large website, or you have multiple use cases, let's say tracking across domains and things like that. But the standard implementations that are there, the standard exercises that one small and medium business owner does, like I want to track how many purchases are done on my website, right? Or how many people are coming to my website, how many of them are purchasing, how many of them are adding to the cart, how many of them are looking at my different set of products, right? This may be specific use cases that an e-commerce or a Shopify owner would want to check and would want to kind of track. So for them, we have built the standardized templates. Now this templates, they just have to click, they just have to copy that piece of code, and they have to place it in a particular section, and that's it. They don't have to worry about anything else. Accuracy of setups, accuracy of the data that is going to flow in, everything is taken care of. You don't need to understand why it is written. I'll give the example. It's written data layer dot push bracket this that, right? You don't need to understand the technicalities there. Even even after building this product, I'm still it's still as a pain for me when I look at the codes and I think, oh, this I was not able to understand why it is written like this, right? So we need to make it more simplify for our users, right? That I think that flavor we are built in. Obviously, there's miles to go. We are revamping some portions of the UX of the product to make it more simple and user friendly, because we are receiving as well feedback from our customers that, okay, can you add in more how to videos, a little bit of step by step guides here and there. That's on a product journey. I think you just have to continue improving your product day over day, right? So yeah, I would say that's where it started as a technical idea, and now we are in route to make it non-technical as much as possible. Yeah.
No, of course, it's a very interesting idea. But I'm curious to know. So whenever,
Uh,
yes.
Sorry, Tushar, I couldn't hear your first couple of words.
Oh, and nothing important. It was nothing that important as well. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, no, so basically what I was saying is that I understood the part and the things which you told me till this point, but okay, so whenever a person or like whenever a team is creating any kind of product, there is this list of thousands and thousands of problems faced in this process and which we have to solve just to create a final product which we can launch on the first place. What I'm curious to know is that when you created that first version in those 4.5 months, what was the most largest problem you faced in that time span of 4.5? What was the bigger problem? Uh, or like was it just a smooth process without any problems on the first place?
No, obviously, definitely not a very smooth process.
Mm.
I think apart from staffing or hiring problem, which is definitely there, even in India, I think where there's ample people available, you still have to get the right mix of people with the right attitude and talent in your teams, right? Who are focused on the goal and not just implementing or executing a particular task. I have been fortunate enough that we have been able to find some of the best minds to help work with us in this particular journey, right? So apart from that staffing problem, I'd say requirement gathering was definitely one of the pain point for us. Because we were not directly interacting with the customer's POC. The customer POC was mostly non-technical, right? Like just like me. So if I had to I can definitely give you something like, okay, this flows, if it were such a flow which is non-technical nature, that should work. But underneath or under the hood, actually there is a lot of technical coding that has to be put in place. It may not be visible on the UI, right? So for that, we had to be sure of different scenarios, the test cases that can come up, and different types of implementations that are available, because the website technologies are so many. One might have developed on Shopify, one might have developed on the JavaScript technologies and things like that. So and then there are Chrome browsers versus Internet Explorer versus a lot of other browsers as well. So so the pain was with a limited number of people that we had at that point in time. There were two engineers and one product manager and myself and a person who was helping us write the content that of the product. So yeah, we had to prioritize what features or what scenarios or what best use cases that we can implement right now, and then build on top of that once the MVP is released, right? And I think that's the definition of MVP when we are talking about a happy flow for any particular product user to kind of just work functionally and accurately without hampering their business goals or their business data or any data loss happening.
Mm. No, no, that completely makes sense. And prioritizing is something which I believe, if we talk about not even building a product, even in life, every single day you have to prioritize a lot of things. Uh, so yes, I would agree on that part of prioritization. And I'm just happy to see that at that point you prioritized in a well manner, I'd say, because of which now we are able to see a final product which we can use also every single day for our own website. So that's like a good thing,
Right.
I'd say. But this was the problem which you faced in the initial months of like that 4.5 months of the release of first version. When we see the whole timeline of like 2 to 2.5 years, in this whole
Mhm.
timeline, which have been like the largest problem which you had faced? Because I don't think the prioritization would be the largest problem, or is it? Like, I'm just curious to.
Yeah, I would still say prioritization is the largest problem, because there's just so many ideas that comes flying in from your customers, from your internal teams, from your specialists, from your top management, and you always have this pressure, the deadline pressures of going live with some X feature, right? So whether this feature is actually essential for a customer or not, whether this feature is something that will drive revenue for us or not, those all kind of decision making, I think, uh, makes our lives a little bit difficult sitting in a back room. Although we do talk to the customers and email them and ask them for feedback and so on and so forth, but it still definitely is a pain, big pain. And I would say the same pain of hiring or scaling up the team is still there when you want to keep people, retain them, and keep them focused towards a common goal of achieving the X number of users or achieving X amount of revenue from the product, right? So those you know the hiring the hiring becomes a pain there. Or I would say, rather than hiring, I would say uh, building the team, scaling it up, and ensuring that everybody is there until the final end to test the success. Like I said, the sweet success. Yeah.
Hmm.
These would be the major problems. Apart from that,
Hmm.
when you are a lean team, when you are a lean team, and you would want to spend your budgets in the right fashion, whether it's a cost of a SaaS that you are buying, just like somebody is buying our SaaS, right? Similarly, we also would buy a marketing automation platform or a small CRM platform, right? Or invest money in running a paid campaign, or developing an intro video for with the founder or with the product as a whole, right? So we have to be doubly sure that, okay, this money is going in the right direction and we're going to get some ROI out of it, right? So yes, I think that's a part and parcel of anybody who's working on leading a product team. So yeah, why not?
Hmm. No, no, I would agree on all the points that you said, but like there was this one point about which I'm a little bit more curious. So you said like you
Okay.
have to prioritize a lot of things and deciding, which feature should be there, which feature is just like a want and not a requirement or not a need. So I'm just curious to know what process do you follow, or how do you decide that this feedback or this suggestion by either a customer, a user, or the team or specialist or management, uh, should it be executed, should it be launched or not? Like, how do you decide that?
Yeah, so obviously there are a lot of frameworks like PII prioritization importance ease, PI framework that, and obviously a lot of other prioritization frameworks are also available. We do use this PIE framework that has potential, importance, and ease framework, and we try to score that particular feature or functionality on top of that while we are doing our sprint development meetings, right? We might have received certain ideas. We would put them into a backlog, and then during the sprint development meetings, we'll talk about it, and we'll try to see if this particular feature uh, ranks high in all of these three characteristics or not. If it doesn't, then we can always take a vote there, that if it is there is an ease of development and is more of a UX driven, like people like to see a bell icon on top of the top right of the screen, and there's notifications are visible, although they can always receive notifications in an email, right? But if that's an UX thing and people like to do it, so we might take a vote and say, okay, let's get it implemented and so forth. But the major features, like the major product features, like I was giving an example of analytics implementations, or for that matter, if there are marketing agencies who have to go through a grind to basically implement pixels on websites for tracking of attribution of their campaigns and so forth, which we call it UTM parameters, right? But they have to put those pixels on the customer websites. That becomes a pain, and this is what we have in the last Jan, Feb, March, that we have built in support for Google AdWords and Facebook ads or Meta ads, pixel implementations as well. So that's an essential feature that we thought the customers are needing it. particularly agencies that we are targeting to as our customers, right? So and for there, I think potential and importance was the biggest. Ease was not so, because we had to also scratch our heads around it, how to make it less technical, right? But yeah, we it's currently live in the April version that you guys are seeing on PitchGround, which is now active. Yeah, both the product features are active now.
Very interesting. And like this thing which you mentioned, this actually takes me to my next question. How, okay, so as you said, it is already live on PitchGround and like people can go and buy it. What I am actually curious is that how have been your experience with PitchGround on the first place? Because when we talk about launching a product or like our own SaaS on which we have worked for 2 to 2.5 works on a marketplace and then getting users and all, this whole process in itself is like a completely different experience which we had not experienced in past because we were developing it. So like how was your experience working with PitchGround?
I would say absolutely. It was a cooperative exercise that we were doing along with the PitchGround team, where they had outlined uh, tasks that we generally outline for our teams, right? Like a sprint cycle, we took it as a sprint development for us, that okay, there are 25 things that we have to work on together with the PitchGround team, and ensure that the materials or the assets or the development questions that they have put down, we need to answer them, right? So with Oscar, with Udit, and the PitchGround team that we were working on, Aishwarya, I think it was our coordinator. So we were in tandem with the requirements at least. We were delayed a little bit because there was just so much to do and so much to put for. But finally, we were able to get going. All wells that ends wells, I think. Yeah, that's the saying that I like. But yeah, it has been definitely a great experience, because now that we are already live on PitchGround, and we have started seeing a lot of traction coming in terms of users buying the main plans, the even the biggest plan, as in the enterprise plans as well. So that's definitely something very sweet, I would say, as a success for us. uh, 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 we had actually, I think, wanted to do a pizza party here on one of our Saturdays, because because of this, right? Apart from that, I think now there are a lot of other events or that we would be working on with PitchGround, and we hope that the scale that we want to achieve on PitchGround as a marketplace for us, or a channel for us, it's basically a revenue driver, let me call it that way, or a active user based driver, right? So I would we are definitely looking forward to it, and more such collaboration as we go along. Yeah.
Okay, I would like to mention two things. First of all, I love pizza. So, if you ever get a thought to send a free pizza, please just let me know that. We can discuss the
Sure.
details.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Please ping in your address. We'll
Sure.
get it sent.
And no, no, but like on a serious note, I'm just personally happy that it has been a good experience and you got some sales. And I think, as you said, you guys had achieved already your first 100, 500 users, if I'm not wrong. The next target is for the 1,000 and 2,000. And I know that you guys will achieve it. But this actually takes me to my one of the next questions, and that is basically uh, okay, so you have been working on Tagmate since the start. Like you have been the person who went to the management and told them, "I want to create something." And as a way, you are kind of like a father of Tagmate till a good extent, I can say. So, like
It
as a
makes me sound old. I
yeah,
said it makes me sound old.
okay, okay. Like that was not an intention, but uh, as a father of Tagmate, I would like to ask you, what is that one thing about Tagmate of which you are proud of as a father?
Okay. As a father, I don't think I can see any weaknesses in my child. But okay, if I'm very objective, I think the particular migration feature that we have built in into the product, which helps some any user, non-technical, any user who does not understand even an ounce of Google Analytics per se, they just want to migrate their existing implementation that they have done over these years, because Google Analytics 3 has been for about 10 years now, and then suddenly they have dropped the hammer that the new version of Google Analytics 4 has to be, you have to migrate by 2023, right? So that feature is definitely something that we love. Personally, all of us love, because we have put in so much of our bandwidth and thinking behind it, and the UI and the UX definitely corresponds to that. I think that's definitely one of the winners for us, I would say.
Yeah, I personally also think that, because I think that was one of the initial reasons because of which you guys had started working on Tagmate.
Yes.
Oh.
Your first child. You
Yeah,
definitely love your first child.
of course. You love your second child also. Come on, bitch. And like I also personally think that you are going to create even more products, more SaaS products, which will all be like a top-notch dope products which every businessman, enterprise, or marketer would like to use. And like I'm not even kidding. So this whole journey which I heard about you, like how you did engineering to working in a startup to getting into this company, selling the product, completing your targets, going to management and asking that I want to create it. Like that personally, that was my best part. I'm like, okay, this is some amazing thing which he had done. And like my personal one of the most important which I loved about Manchester. High five. Manchester
High
fell to
five.
the house, guys. Let's go.
Yeah,
And
the only sad part was the lost in the FA Cup against Liverpool.
please don't
I was
remind
watching
me
the
that.
match and I was watching the match. I was like, oh my God, what happened today?
So did you had your pizza after the loss or something else?
No, yeah, I was sad. Yeah, I was literally sad because I was actually dining with a Liverpool guy. So both of us were
Oh,
side by side, and we were putting on baits that okay, we are going to come back. Even until 75th minute, I was thinking that we will still close the gap of the two more goals. But yeah, sad part. It
just
happens in sports.
just out of curiosity, like how much did you lost in that bet? Like just out of curiosity, I want.
No, fortunately, not a money bet. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
it was more of a food. It was more of a food bet. So I had to order some stuff for him because we were eating outside in a restaurant. So yeah, that was
No
much
worries.
about it. I got saved.
Yeah, yeah, it was worthwhile. I mean, I wouldn't say it was worthwhile, but okay, there was no loss. So let's be happy about that part.
Yeah.
Everyone enjoyed
Yeah.
tasty food at the end of the day.
No,
Cool.
well, now I've challenged. Now I've challenged him that we will win the EPL for sure. We're
Oh,
not going to
shit.
let you win.
Oh, my God. And what's the bet this time? You are going to buy me dinner or what?
No, so things are now up to the jerseys. So I have original jerseys.
Oh,
We have to
shit.
buy each other original jerseys. Yeah,
The stakes are too high now.
yeah,
Okay, I would be supporting you. Just remember that. Because Manchester, let's
yes.
go.
We'll win. We'll win.
We will
The
win.
Blues are going to win.
For
Yeah.
sure. And like it was an amazing journey. I'd say like just let me know on what have been your final thoughts and like how was your experience in this conversation of sharing your own journey.
Yeah, I think I've been talking much about myself. I would have loved to know a little bit about your journey as well. Yeah, and how you have been at PitchGround and things like that. But yes, the product that we have built and we are currently live on PitchGround. Uh, we hope that the customer problems that it has been built to solve, uh, that is on that is definitely on roll, and people continue using it and loving it and providing us more feedback, so that we can make drastic improvements if needed as well, incremental and drastic improvements as we go along. Like I said, the roadmap is definitely long. The team size is going to expand. I hope the revenue also kicks in the way that our aim or our vision is around that. Yeah, but yes, considering PitchGround as a revenue driver for us, I am putting my fingers crossed, and we are hoping that we get there sooner or later. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm
Maybe a
very
little bit about yourself,
sure,
just
sure.
before.
No, it's okay. So if I to talk about myself, I started earning money at the age of 11 by creating a distribution system in school to sell pirated movies. That was the start of my earning money journey. I'd say.
Oh,
After
nice.
yeah, after that, I've been into a lot of ventures, a lot of different things which I did in my life to, being so I'm Sindhi at the end of the day. So the business is like in my
Oh,
blood. If I
nice.
won't do business, I will die probably. So yes, like that is one of those things on which I am focusing. Like I joined PitchGround like some months back as a collaboration manager, where we do these kind of interesting different collaborations which people either have not heard about, or that's not something some different and new experiences. That is something on which I have
Right.
personally worked. So yes, that's what I do. Other than that, I post Twitter Spaces. Like I'm very active on Twitter. Instagram is something which I had used last time 2 to 3 weeks back. Like I don't even use
Okay.
Instagram, so I'm not active. Other than that, of course, I'm a Manchester fan. I used to play football a lot. I'm not even kidding. Like I used to play in defense, like a right side and left side defense. These were my personal positions.
Oh,
Yeah, I was not an
okay.
attacker. Like whenever I used to shoot, ball used to go outside. But as a defense, I
Oh,
always used to steal the ball. So like I was good at
oh,
that
nice.
part. So yes, that is something which I used to do. Other than I have many different hobbies, from writing poems to writing rap songs to writing stories and like a lot more things. No, if I will talk about myself, it can go for like 2 to 3 hours minimum. I'm telling you
Oh, nice.
that. But yeah, like these were
Great.
some small information for you. I hope you're satisfied.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that sounds definitely cool. By the way, I am also, if you look at my Twitter bio, it's written left defender,
Oh,
back defender.
let me know your Twitter ID in the chat. I will follow you right now.
Yeah, I'm not very good, active at tweeting. I just follow and I read. It is at the rate Bismayy, at the rate Bismayy.
Okay, just give me a sec. Twitter @Bismayy. Uh,
Yeah, I have a double Y, so you will not miss it.
okay, when I wrote Bismayy, there are too many people with double, triple, 5 times. What's like the exact username?
My bad. But it is actually at the rate Bismayy. But can you search Bismayy Bismayy Mobile?
Wait a
That
second,
you
just
can
a minute.
the user. Yeah, I can ping
Okay.
you otherwise.
Like just drop that in the Zoom chat. I will copy paste. It would be faster, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, very interesting. I never knew you were on Twitter because like I know a lot of founders are on Twitter. They just follow, they see the tweets and they never tweet and all, like this kind of normal scenario exists. But I never knew about you. So this is going to be a fun journey, I'd say. Okay.
Right.
Hmm. Okay, let me just end the recording part.